Still photography gave way to films. After all, a film is just a bunch of photos moving at 24 frames a second, or whatever frames per second you feel like shooting in today, but 24 is and will always be correct. And films in many ways push photography forward. I feel honestly like filmmakers take way bigger risk than photographers do these days. Good filmmakers will be progressive with their compositions, with their lighting, with the lenses that they choose and the character of those lenses, and with their color grading. Photographers have mostly shied away from these risks, erring on the side of caution, and often choosing the sharpest, cleanest, and most perfect image they possibly can make. If we were to let films inspire our photography, what would our photography look like? Today I want to share with you a simple filmmaking technique to kickstart your creative mind as a photographer. And just as a warning, when you see this, you won't be able to unsee it ever again. You'll start noticing this in every single movie you watch, every single one. But if you start letting this inspire your photos, you may find your photos starting to look a bit more cinematic. Don't we just love that word? And before we go any further, if this is your first time here, my name is Dave. I'm a photographer and videographer from the Bay Area of California. Be sure to subscribe to this channel. I post 2 videos a week unless something goes horribly wrong. With films, people control basically everything, from the lighting to the wardrobe and every detail in between. With that kind of control, this technique is a bit easier to pull off. But if you're a natural light photographer like I am, you might automatically think that this technique couldn't work for you, but that is just not the case. There's plenty of ways you'll be able to do this, so don't worry. And what I'm referring to, and what you've been seeing in these stills this entire time, is called the checkerboard pattern. Now, you may have heard of this before, or you may be familiar with it already, or this could be just the very first time you've ever heard this, but I guarantee you it's not the very first time that you've seen it. In fact, I might go as far as to say that if you've been doing photography for a little while, you're probably doing this without even realizing that you sometimes do this technique, because it just looks that good. The checkerboard pattern is really a mix of light and dark elements just going across the frame. And this can be in terms of lighting, but it can also be in terms of color tonality. I'm gonna share a few stills from 3 of my favorite movies to demonstrate this. So I'm gonna show you some frames from Into the Wild, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, and my all-time favorite film, the greatest movie ever made, The Goonies. And as you're seeing these across your screen, I want you to notice the movement of dark and bright, both in terms of lighting as well as color, across the screen from the left side to the right side. Let's freeze on this frame from The Goonies for just a minute. Notice that it goes dark light, dark light, dark light, dark light, and then dark. So 4 times the pattern repeats and then ends with dark. Take a look at this frame from The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. 3 sets here: light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. How about this one from Into the Wild, where you can see color emphasize this pattern? It goes light, dark, light, dark. The cool thing about the checkerboard pattern is that you really can see it across any film in any genre. And because it can be done with both lighting elements as well as color, you have plenty of opportunities to demonstrate this yourself. So let's transfer this principle to photography. Here's a collection of photos that I've made, some commercials, some portraits, some lifestyle, and some landscapes. All of this with the same technique we've been talking about applied as best I could when I composed these photos. And just keep in mind that I am a natural light photographer and I cannot control the lighting, so I'm using a mix of shadow, light, and color to frame these images up. When I'm out taking photos, I am intentionally looking for shadow and light to frame around. When I'm composing my photos, I'm looking intentionally for the right focal length and placement to determine where that pattern is going to begin and end, because if I go too wide or too narrow, I may end up cutting off that pattern and lose the best composition possible. But when I approach the scene and I'm intentionally looking for these patterns to occur, I will typically get a composition that I'm happy with. And if you want some more examples, you can visit my website linked right below and see hundreds of photos of travel galleries and portraits and other lifestyle things that really demonstrate how I try to use this pattern when I'm out shooting. I hope you have found this video and this tip practical and helpful for your photography. If it was, be sure to give this video a like, and if you are not subscribed, be sure to subscribe. I'd love to hear from you as well, so drop a comment below. I try to reply to every single comment. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.